For thousands of years, long before the first pharmacy ever opened its doors, humans turned to something far more ancient, far more accessible. They turned to the earth itself. Our ancestors didn't have prescription bottles or clinical trials, but they had something perhaps even more powerful: observation, patience, and an intimate relationship with the natural world around them. They watched, they experimented, they passed down knowledge through generations, and slowly, they discovered that certain plants could calm a restless mind, strengthen a weakened body, relieve pain, and restore balance when everything felt out of sync. I started thinking about this one evening when I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with the stress of modern life, my body tense from sitting at a desk all day. I reached for a cup of tea, and as I held that warm mug in my hands, I wondered, how many of these remedies are still out there, quietly growing in gardens, thriving in forests, sitting in kitchen cabinets around the world, waiting to be remembered? How much ancient wisdom have we forgotten in our rush toward convenience? What I discovered changed the way I think about wellness entirely. Because the truth is, many people today feel exactly how I felt that night. Overwhelmed by stress, exhausted by poor sleep, struggling with inflammation, battling digestive issues that seem to have no clear answer. We reach for quick fixes, temporary solutions, anything to make it through another day. But what if some of the answers we're searching for have been here all along, hidden in plain sight, passed down through centuries of human experience? I began researching traditional herbal remedies, and what fascinated me most wasn't discovering rare, exotic plants from distant lands. It was realizing that many of these powerful remedies are simple herbs that people already know. They're not mysterious or unattainable. They're growing in backyards, sold in markets, sitting on spice racks. Yet they carry healing properties that have been respected and trusted across cultures for generations. I decided to explore some of the most revered herbal remedies used around the world to support the body naturally. And what I found was a collection of knowledge so rich, so deeply rooted in human history, that I felt compelled to share it. The first thing I learned was that certain herbs have been known for centuries for their ability to calm the nervous system and reduce stress. Chamomile, for instance, isn't just a pleasant-tasting tea. For thousands of years, people have turned to chamomile to promote relaxation, reduce anxiety, and support better sleep. Ancient Egyptians dedicated it to their gods. Romans used it medicinally. European herbalists prescribed it for everything from inflammation to nervous tension. There's something profound about holding a cup of chamomile tea and knowing that countless generations before you found comfort in that same flower. Then there's ginger, a root so powerful that it appears in traditional medicine systems across the globe. In Chinese medicine, it's been used for over 2,000 years. In Ayurvedic traditions, it's considered a universal medicine. What makes ginger so remarkable is its versatility. Traditionally used to help digestion, reduce inflammation, strengthen the immune system, and even ease nausea. When I learned that ancient sailors carried ginger on long voyages to combat seasickness, I realized this wasn't just folklore. This was accumulated wisdom based on real, observed results. Turmeric caught my attention next, and it's impossible to overstate how deeply this golden root is woven into traditional healing. For over 4,000 years, turmeric has been valued in traditional medicine, particularly in India, because of its strong anti-inflammatory compounds. The active ingredient, curcumin, has been the subject of thousands of studies, but long before any laboratory examined it, healers knew that turmeric supported joint health, aided recovery, and promoted overall wellness. They didn't need scientific validation. They had generations of experience. As I kept exploring these herbs, I started to see a pattern. Each one carried stories, traditions, practical uses that spanned continents and centuries. And I thought to myself, if you're curious to explore how these traditional plants work and how people actually use them for everyday wellness, there's so much more to discover. I left a resource in the first link in the description where you can learn more about how these herbs can support your health in ways that have been trusted for generations. What amazed me as I continued my research was discovering that many cultures around the world, completely separate from each other, arrived at similar herbal traditions. They didn't have the internet to share information, yet they independently recognized the same plants as valuable medicine. That tells you something powerful about the plants themselves. Peppermint, for example, has been used for thousands of years across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Ancient Greeks and Romans knew it. Traditional Chinese medicine incorporated it. Why? Because people observed that it soothed digestion and relieved headaches. There's archaeological evidence of dried peppermint in Egyptian pyramids dating back to 1000 BCE. These weren't random choices. They were deliberate selections based on what worked. Echinacea is another fascinating example. Native American tribes used it more extensively than almost any other plant, particularly for immune support and wound healing. When European settlers arrived in North America, they learned these traditions and eventually brought echinacea back to Europe, where it became integrated into Western herbal medicine. Today, people still turn to echinacea during cold seasons, continuing a tradition that stretches back centuries. Then there's garlic, which might surprise you because we think of it primarily as air food. But garlic has been respected as a natural remedy for thousands of years. Ancient Egyptian workers building the pyramids were given garlic for strength and endurance. Greek athletes ate it before competitions. Traditional medicine systems have used it to support heart health and immune defense. The ancient physician Hippocrates prescribed garlic for a variety of conditions. When something has been used medicinally for that long, across that many cultures, it's worth paying attention to. Holy basil, also known as tulsi, is revered in Ayurvedic traditions as a sacred plant. For over 3,000 years, it's been grown in households throughout India, not just for cooking but for its believed ability to help the body manage stress and support mental clarity. It's called the Incomparable One in Sanskrit, and families have passed down the tradition of drinking tulsi tea to promote balance and resilience. There's something beautiful about that continuity, knowledge flowing from generation to generation because it genuinely helped people. What amazed me most as I dove deeper was realizing that many of these plants don't just target one problem. They support the body in multiple, interconnected ways, which is why traditional healers valued them so highly. Take aloe vera, for instance. Most people know it for skin healing. Break off a leaf, apply the gel to a burn, and feel relief. That knowledge goes back thousands of years. Ancient Egyptians called it the plant of immortality. But aloe vera has also been used traditionally to support digestion and internal wellness, not just external healing. The same plant, multiple applications, all rooted in observation over time. Ashwagandha is another herb that demonstrates this multidimensional approach to wellness. In Ayurvedic medicine, it's classified as a rasayana, which means a substance that promotes longevity and vitality. For over 3,000 years, it's been used as an adaptogen, a traditional herb believed to help the body adapt to stress and support energy balance. People didn't have the term cortisol back then, but they recognized that ashwagandha helped them feel more resilient, more grounded, more capable of handling life's challenges. Dandelion root might seem like a common weed, but traditional medicine systems have used it for centuries to support liver health and natural detoxification. In traditional Chinese medicine, in Native American healing, in European herbalism, across all these separate traditions, dandelion was recognized as valuable. That's not coincidence. That's pattern recognition based on real effects people experienced. And then there's lemon balm, a gentle herb from the mint family that's been used since ancient times for calming the mind and helping with relaxation and sleep. Medieval monks grew it in monastery gardens. Persian physicians prescribed it. European herbalists recommended it for nervous tension. When I learned that lemon balm has been continuously cultivated for over 2,000 years specifically for its calming properties, I understood that this wasn't just pleasant-smelling leaves. This was medicine that people relied on. For those who want to go deeper and discover how people actually use these traditional herbs for wellness, how they prepare them, how they integrate them into daily life, you can check the first link in the description where I've shared more detailed information about these plants and how they may support your health naturally, based on generations of traditional use. As I continued exploring, I found even more herbs that have stood the test of time, each with its own rich history and traditional applications. Rosemary, which we often think of as just a culinary herb, has been associated for centuries with improving circulation and supporting memory. Ancient Greek students wore rosemary wreaths while studying, believing it enhanced concentration. Shakespeare wrote about rosemary and remembrance. Traditional Mediterranean medicine has used it for cognitive support and vitality for thousands of years. Sage is another herb that appears across multiple traditional medicine systems, valued for immune support and throat health. Native Americans burned it in purification ceremonies. Romans considered it sacred and used it medicinally. The Latin name, salvia, literally means to save or to heal. That tells you how highly it was regarded. Nettle might sting when you touch it fresh, but it's known for its incredibly rich mineral content and has been used in supporting overall vitality for centuries. Roman soldiers rubbed nettle on their limbs to stay warm during British campaigns. European herbalists have prescribed nettle tea for spring tonics for generations. It's packed with nutrients that traditional healers recognized as strengthening. Cinnamon is far more than a sweet spice. In traditional medicine, particularly Chinese and Ayurvedic systems, cinnamon has long been used to help regulate blood sugar and improve circulation. It was so valued in ancient times that it was considered more precious than gold. Wars were fought over spice routes, and cinnamon was among the most sought-after commodities. That wasn't just about flavor, it was about medicine. Finally, there's fenugreek, traditionally used for digestion, metabolism, and overall wellness. Ancient Egyptians used it in embalming. Traditional Chinese medicine incorporated it thousands of years ago. Ayurvedic practitioners have prescribed it for various conditions throughout history. It's one of those herbs that appears everywhere you look in traditional medicine, which tells you people found real value in it. As I sit here now, having spent months researching these traditional remedies, I'm struck by something profound. Nature provided so many plants with beneficial properties, and our ancestors were patient enough, observant enough, wise enough to discover them. These herbal traditions survived for centuries, not because of marketing campaigns or corporate interests, but because people observed real results across generations. Parents taught children, healers taught apprentices, communities shared knowledge, and slowly, carefully, humanity built a library of botanical wisdom. What we're experiencing today, this disconnection from natural remedies, this forgetting of ancient knowledge, it's relatively recent in human history. For most of our existence, we knew these plants intimately. We understood their rhythms, their properties, their gifts. And I believe that understanding these remedies helps reconnect us with something essential, something we've lost in our modern rush. The idea that sometimes wellness begins with learning from nature itself, with remembering what humans once knew as common knowledge. This journey into traditional herbal medicine is really just the beginning. There's so much more to discover about how plants can support the body, about the wisdom embedded in traditional practices, about the relationship between humans and the natural world that sustained us for millennia. Each herb I've shared with you today represents thousands of years of human experience, observation, and trust. And that knowledge is still here, still accessible, still waiting for anyone curious enough to explore it. If this resonated with you, if you want to continue exploring this ancient wisdom with me, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. We're going to keep diving deeper into traditional knowledge that modern life has made us forget, uncovering remedies and practices that have supported human wellness across cultures and centuries. This is just one chapter in a much longer story, and I'd be honored to have you join me for the journey ahead. Sonnet 4.5 Estendido Claude e uma IAE pod cometer eros. Por favor, verifique as respostas.